Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of my Adobe Premiere Pro video basics tutorial. So we're going to open up Premiere Pro. So today I'll basically be running you through part 2, and this will actually probably be the extent of my knowledge on Premiere Pro, because with what I'm going to teach you today and what I taught you last time, there are a lot of different combination of things you can do. So I mean, even though this may not seem like a lot, it's not, because Premiere Pro has so much other stuff. And if you want to know more about Premiere Pro, I would suggest watching other videos. This is just what I would recommend knowing if you want to begin with Premiere Pro. And I've learned a lot of this stuff just by going and exploring. So definitely feel free to explore, especially with the different effects. They all do different things, and I don't know what they all do. I don't know most of the stuff in Premiere, but this is kind of just my basics. So this is part 2. So we're gonna open. This is again the start tab, and let's do a new project just for the heck of it, and we'll call it Adobe tutorial part 2. And again, this is where it's going to save it, and yeah, you probably just want to save it maybe to your desktop or in some sort of file, or someplace, a folder you have. So let's just click OK for right now, and now it'll open up Premiere Pro. Okay, so again, this is your basic, oh, the sequence got really small for some reason, but this is your basic window again, except for the Lumetri color panel, which I have over there. So now the first thing you want to remember that we need to do is either 1, import clips, or 2, make a sequence, because we obviously don't have a timeline right now because it says no sequences. So what we want to do is go to File, New, Sequence. And we'll just call it sequence 1 for the heck of it, and it's in 4K, and you can again mess around with those settings. And now there is our sequence. So we want to import some clips. File, import, and this is just, I'll go into here, and I'll take a JPEG, and maybe a screenshot, and the video, and okay, so we'll import that. It's just like some test clips to show you how to do some things. So now we need to go to media browser, or no, back to here. So this is what we just imported. Okay, so today what I'm going to run you through is how to do color correcting, or to do some manipulate how your things look, your different clips with color correction, and how to kind of do some basic animation with text and or pictures. So first, let's start off with color correction. So as I said, in the Windows bar, like any Adobe product, you have the different things you can add to your window. And since I'm doing it on a laptop right now, it's kind of smushed. If you were on like a desktop, you'd have a lot more room. But right, I have Lumetri color selected. Now, if you don't have this portion over here to the right of the screen, you're going to want to click your Lumetri color. You're going to make sure that's on. You can also do Lumetri scopes, which is another color correcting thing. But for right now, I will just run you through the Lumetri color. So make sure that is checked, and then it should pop up somewhere. It probably will pop up on the right. Okay, so now that we're going to use this color grading, we want to make it a little bigger so we can see what's going on. Now, we don't have anything selected, so let's select the JPEG, which is, remember, is going to be in pink. Select it, and it'll pop up there in a sec. There you go. Okay, so let's say, oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to drag this in by clicking and holding and dragging and into the timeline and releasing. And then I'm going to zoom in because it's a very small sliver. I think it's about 5 seconds. I'm going to Command plus plus. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Just plus. And now we can see the actual picture, which is, I think, lasting about 4 seconds or so. So anyway, if you double click on it, which is it's already selected, and we want to drag and drop some. Actually, you know what I would recommend doing is doing the adjustment layer like we did last time. Basically, remember the adjustment layer, whatever it's over, because if you put it if I put an adjustment layer right now on video 2, then it would do everything. It would affect everything that's underneath video 2. So let's do that. Let's do new adjustment layer, and that's fine. We'll just go with those settings because that's for 4K. And we will now drag the adjustment layer over. Let's put it a few above. So now anything that's under video 3, let's make this a little bigger. There you go. Anything that's under video 3 will be affected by the adjustment layer. So let's select the adjustment layer. Now, although we're not directly manipulating this picture. We are messing with the adjustment layer, which means that we will affect the picture. So let's go over, since we have the adjustment layer selected, it's like a white highlight. That means you have it selected. We want to go over here. Now, I really don't have any set thing. I can't tell you exactly. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You have the vibrance of the color, the saturation, the fade, basically all that stuff. You can really go explore, and honestly, every single time I kind of just explore with the different things. But as you can see now, if I kind of mess with this, and for these wheels, you kind of move the the little plus sign, or the cross that you see there, and you kind of just move it, and as you can see, the image is slowly changing its tint. See, now it's getting more green and more green and more green, but it's very subtle changes. So I'll just like put it there. You can see it got a little bit brighter, and the way you can kind of see what this is doing is click the little toggle track output, and it's just basically going to turn on and off the effects. So you can kind of see if I turn it off, actually that's a very minute difference. You can't really see it very much, but it is there, but we'll see more. So I just turn it back on. Let's mess with the saturation. You can see it's getting more and more saturated. Now, if I was to turn on and off the adjustment layer, you can see there's a very big difference between the two images. Yeah, because the original image is kind of a little whited out, but let's turn this back a little bit. And then you could also go to like basic correction, click on that and do some exposure stuff. That's going to make it a lot more white, or it's going to make it a lot more dark if you like overexpose an image. Contrast, very high in contrast, or a little bit lower. Now you can see this is actually making the image look a little better. And you do whites or blacks. But anything you want to do, you really can just mess around with this, these different settings. There's also creative, which we were in just then. You have to be underneath the selected curves. Okay, so this I don't really know how to explain fully, but it is kind of like light and dark, kind of where you're gonna your color, your shadows and your highlights are gonna lie, I'm pretty sure. So if you kind of bow it down, you kind of get darker, and you kind of move your slider and you kind of get brighter. Or if you move it a little bit like this. I'm really not 100% sure how this works, but it is another option for you to do. And then there's a hue saturation curve, which you can, I've actually never used this, but I guess you can change the color and where you want the colors to lie. Like if you want really, like a lot of saturation or just a little, I guess it'll kind of give you a preview of that. And then color wheels. This is kind of like the last one I just showed you, but you can turn up, give it more like shading or like darker. Anyway, there's a lot of different color stuff you can do. Another one is this. I don't know how to pronounce it, Vignette or something like that, but it basically puts kind of a black circular kind of, well, I'll just show you, but you can see that on the edges, it'll kind of, yeah. See, it gets kind of black around the edges, kind of gives it a nice kind of like fade in, or yeah, it kind of gives it a nice little effect. But and you can, yeah, so roundness is what I mean. Turn up the roundness, it's kind of giving that image a little bit of a black rounded edge to it, kind of like a fading in effect. And now you can really see if we turn off the eye, the toggle track output, you can see that difference from the color correcting. And if you really wanted the style, like on your video, like I've done this before, for the entire video, the adjustment layer is over the entire video, then it would basically affect your entire video. If you wanted kind of like a black and white effect, you can totally just turn, if you, I think it's like saturation all the way down, you'll get black and white because you have no color. And yeah, so there's a lot of different things you can do. Honestly, just explore, but that's kind of the basics. If you wanted to only affect one layer, I'm pretty sure, yeah, you could just select, like if we wanted to select this and delete, so now the adjustment layer is gone and we directly just affect, yeah, if we just click on this clip, now we're only affecting this clip. Yeah, see, so now we're only affecting the one clip because we do not have an adjustment layer. Now you can just, you know, mess with the clip, mess with all this stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Let's get rid of this picture now. So that's kind of the basics for color correcting, and the best thing I can tell you is that you're just going to want to mess around. You're going to know what you like and what you don't like. But let's delete that for right now by clicking delete button and having it selected. And now let's go back into here and let's grab the same picture. I think it's this one. Yeah. And let's drag it by holding and clicking down and releasing. And now, let's say you want to have this come from one end of the screen into the middle, like kind of a little animation. So now we're going to part 2 of this video, and now this is basically how to animate basic animation. So what you want to do is you want to drag it in your timeline, and you're going to want to have the slider at the very beginning. It's probably a good idea if you want to have the animation from the very start. You want to go to Effects, and there's no clip selected. We need to select that. There you go. And then you go to Effects, and then there are the different effects and stuff you can do on it. So if you've never really had any experience with animating before, I really didn't have much experience. I did stop motion, but that's not what I mean. I'm talking about like on a computer or something like that. But basically, the way it works, the most basic thing you can think of is having basically, I'm saying basically like 5 times, you have, it's moving on the x-axis or the y-axis. And the position right here is basically where it is. This is the x-coordinate and this is the y-coordinate. And you're going to change the coordinates over a specific amount of time. And the clock here is basically saying, okay, at this time, it's going to be at this position. Then you move the slider and you say, okay, now it's at the end, and you click this again and you change the position. So now it goes from the beginning position to the end position, and over time it's changing, which makes it move. So that's kind of the most basic thing. So let's show you. I'll show you what that does. So right now at the beginning, as you can tell, the position isn't changing because it's not moving. So let's go to the beginning, and let's say you want to have it start off like way to the left. You can't even see it. So you start off way to the left, or actually, you know what, something that's a little bit easier. Let's start with scale. So scale, everything's the same concept, it's just going to do different things. So right now, at the beginning, because it's at 0, 0, the scale is 100. Well, if you want to change it, you need to click this toggle animation. So you click it. Now, as you can see, this little thing has appeared, and you'll be able to see it when I drag off, but whenever you see this is like, the keyframe is basically a set time where the animation or a number changes. So right now at 0, 0 is when it's changing, but it's still at 100. We haven't changed it. So let's say we want to make it appear small at the beginning. So let's have it at like 40. And since it started at 100, this is basically 40% of the size that it was before. You click enter, it's going to change size. Well, now you're like, okay, well, that's great and all, but it doesn't change. Okay, well, what you want to do is now you know at the beginning it's at 40. Well, even now at the end it's at 40. Well, you want to drag to the end, and right at the end, or whenever you want it to be bigger, you release, and then we're going to want to change the value. Now you're saying, well, this clock hasn't, undone, or I can't re-click it. Well, it's because you have to change the number first. So now we're going to change the number from 40 to 100 and click enter. And now it's getting bigger and smaller. So because you changed it's now 100 there, but notice the number changes now because you did that, because you clicked this button, the toggle animation, it is now getting bigger and smaller. So now if we were to play the video, the image becomes slowly bigger, and then it is going to go and reach 100% and stop. So yeah, that's basically that's scale, and you can do that. You can mix like scale and position. So let's try mixing it. So now right now it's at 40, right? But the position has pretty much never changed. The position is staying the same because right in the middle. Well, okay, yeah. It basically, the position never changes. It just gets bigger from that position. So what you want to do is, let's say we want to have it come in from the left. So let's go position. This is X, remember, and this is Y. So if this is at 2000, that means it took 2000 to get to this point. So if we go to like 0, I'm pretty sure I have to go negative. Do I have to go negative? If I hit 0, yeah, it's all the way over there now because it went from 0 to 2000, which was right here. So if we wanted to start off the screen, we need to go like negative 300. I don't know what the exact numbers are. No, 400. You guys kind of got to guess with this stuff. 400. Okay, so now it's like right at the edge of the screen. You're not gonna be able to see it, but you want to hit the toggle animation button. Remember, you always have to remember that, because if you don't, then it's not gonna actually set a keyframe. It's not gonna set at that point. It's this position. It's just always gonna be that position. So remember, you have to hit the toggle animation button. So now we go to the end, and notice it's still getting bigger because we did that scale keyframe. But now if we go to the end, we want to change the position. So we go back to, what was it, like 2000 something? So let's just do like 2, or like let's do 2,500. No, that was too much. 2,000. Where is it? There we go. So now it's getting bigger. It's because I was off the clip. So now the position is moving and it's also getting bigger. So, and you can see that both values right here are changing as you move the clip. And now it's getting bigger, and at the end, so if we were to play this, the clip is moving position and scale, and notice those quantities are changing. So that's kind of scale and position. And then another way of doing it is, let's say, okay, well, now that's great, but that was kind of complicated. I don't really want to guess the coordinates and all of that. You don't have to. So let's go back and delete this clip. So let's try this again. Open this clip again, or this picture, not clip, and drag it in again, like so. So we want to select it and go to Effects. And basically now what we want to do is say, okay, well, that was kind of complicated. So let's go to the beginning of the video. So you click this button. This is basically motion. So this is where you can physically, well, not physically, but actually manipulate the clip without having to just do numbers like X and Y, or scale like quantities. So if you click motion, you can see that a little box appeared around the picture. So basically you can move it now and see positions changing. So let's say I didn't want to put in those values. I could have said, okay, well, I want to move this clip off to the edge. So you just move it. Okay, position. There we go. So you just want to move it off like to this edge or something. So let's say you just want it like there or something. Okay, well, remember, to make it actually do something when it's at a later time, you need to hit the toggle animation. So you want to click that. So now that position is now at 0, 0, because that's where your that's where the keyframe is. So now if we go to the end, autosave there, go to the end, we want to move it again over here. Say we want it to be over here. Notice this line appears. That's going to show you where it's going to move. That's the path that it's moving. So now if we stop and now we go back, it moves because you set another keyframe at that end position. So now it's moving across that line that it was showing you earlier. So now if you were to click the video, obviously that blue line will not appear when you're really playing the video, but now if you click play, the image slowly moves across. And you can do multiple images at once. If you have other images, they can be moving alongside it or out the opposite direction. There are a lot of different possibilities for this, and it's basically the same for rotation as well. So let's just do one for rotation. So we delete the clip, select it again, drag it in, and release. And let's go to the beginning once again. And now we're at the beginning of the clip. So let's try the rotation. And remember, you want to click the toggle animation button. So since we're at the beginning, we'll click toggle rotation. Now, because the rotation is set at 0, if you want to do it like, we could do 180 or 90 degrees. So it starts at 0. So remember, if we want it to start normal, we don't want to change any numbers. So let's go to the end now and change it to, let's say, like 270. So it'll go around in a circle quite a bit. So now what it's going to do is, in that time, it's going to rotate 270 degrees and then end. Or we could actually change it to 360, so it does a full rotation. Now it is slowly going to reach 360 degrees. And no, I think I screwed something up. But it would have one rotation, 360 degrees. So that's rotation. Those are pretty much the ones I've tried. I guess you can also do the same thing with opacity. Turn the opacity down in the beginning and then turn the opacity up at the end, and then you'll have a cool effect there too. So that's kind of the basics for animation. You can also do the same with other images, and you can also do that with video. So let's try that. Like, let's say you have multiple videos on the screen. Actually, I don't have multiple videos at the moment, but you can do the same exact thing. You can create a video exactly like an image, and you can put like break up the screen into 4 and have 4 different clips going if you were doing like some sort of cool intro, and you could have them moving. And but basically, now that you know how to do that, you can pretty much just explore and do anything based off of that knowledge. But anyway, that's pretty much my part 2 to Adobe Premiere Pro Basics. So today we covered color correction and basic animation, and I think that should help you a little bit more. I will probably be coming out with another part at some point, but we'll see when that happens. Anyway, thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a good day.